Alright guys, so 2.0 is literally days away and the whole gacha community is absolutely exploding right now. This news about a certain other game, you know what, screw it, I'm just gonna name drop them. Genshin, yes of course, the game and fan base that has been trying to attack Wuthering Waves for ages has just been hit with an absolute shit bomb that this is almost comical. Originally, I was going to make this video about my view on the drama. Like, I am a new gacha player. 6, 7, 8 months in, I started playing. My first gacha is Wuthering Waves. I started playing as soon as Wuthering Waves came out, and then I'm now playing Star Rail and Zenless Zone Zero along with that. So maybe the 3 mainstream gacha games, right? And over time, I've seen this slow build-up of tribalism as I get more and more into these communities. I see this tribalism. And there's 2 games in particular that love to go after each other, or rather, one more than the other, and that's Wuthering Waves and Genshin. Now, this is my opinion on it all, really. I just want to start off with all of it in general is just ridiculous. Genshin fans and contracts and stuff like that. The fans going on Wuthering Waves 2.0 preview stream, just, you know, spamming the shit out of it. And then you've got these contracts for Genshin creators where you can't actually mention Wuthering Waves or play Wuthering Waves. Now, here's a funny thing that some of you may not know. Those contracts are outrageous, but guess what? The Wuthering Waves contracts for these streamers, you can mention Genshin Impact, but you can't mention anything negative about Genshin Impact, which is absolutely ridiculous. That you've got one side that allows you to mention it but not mention it negatively, basically trying to put yourself in a good light, and then you've got another side which is like, don't you dare mention it or I'll play it or anything like that. It's silly, it's absolutely ridiculous. And then along with that, you've got unofficial stuff like the r/gacha gaming Reddit, aka Hoyo Gaming Reddit, because apparently Wuthering Waves' live stream announcement got taken down. Again, what's with the tribalism there? I mean, and when I'm hearing all of this stuff, it actually makes me angry because I am very passionate about Wuthering Waves. I just love it when devs put their heart and soul into a game rather than just pretending like they are. And this kind of fits both games to a T, really. Wuthering Waves just filled to the brim with passionate devs. And then you've got Genshin that pretends to listen and pretends to add stuff, but when they do add the stuff, it's lackluster. Especially with the whole, I think, like the stat changing stuff, if I remember correctly, that was a joke. And even now with the new stuff, they're giving you 20 free pulls, but it's after 2 banners have ended. The day after they've ended 2 banners, they give you 20 pulls. How on earth is that fair? It's literally FOMO marketing. It's predatory and it's disgusting. And the thing is, even though I'm a Wuthering Waves creator, we need to call this out as a general player base, because this can't run. Because if you don't call it out, then other devs might think, oh hey, we can do this, and you can't. It is not okay. Even as a new gacha game player, this is ridiculous. And it's not even like it's a Hoyo problem, because you've got Star Rail and Zenless, which are doing absolutely amazing. It is just Genshin, because of how they seem to be somewhat threatened by Wuthering Waves at this point. Wuthering Waves is about to deliver its best update in ages. I mean, the Carlotta trailer is absolutely amazing. You can... even the voice direction. I mentioned this in a couple of videos back, in my Why Wuthering Waves is Amazing video. Yes, quite biased indeed. The Carlotta video, the trailer, has... wow, some of the best voice direction I've ever seen in Wuthering Waves. It trumps Camellia's, which I thought was really good already. And I don't get these fans sort of coddling together in this sort of delusional echo chamber. It's like, you know, if your devs actually took some notes out of Kuro's book, Genshin could be improved so much. The game is going on to 5.3 now. And it's already being outdone by a game that is going on to its 2.x patch cycle, which is absolutely ridiculous. The reason why it was so easy for me to take up Wuthering Waves is because my friends actually used to play Genshin, and there's one that always complained about the lackluster updates and just general bad quality of life. You've got Star Rail and Zenless putting out quality of life updates really early, and Wuthering Waves. Then you've got Genshin, which took ages to increase resin caps. Even the banners suck in general. I think weapon banners terrible. And along with that, they just pretend to be listening when they don't. It's a shame because it's the sunken cost fallacy. Half of these players have probably spent thousands of dollars/pounds on their favourite characters, and the game's just getting worse for it. They're spending money and the game's getting worse. This is why I spend money on WoWA, because the game just gets better. I know where our money's going. It's clearly going back into the game. And Wuthering Waves is planning on doing major updates every 6 months, which I don't think I've ever heard one of these mainstream gachas do ever before. Now, I know there's plenty of videos on the psychology of why these two communities are bickering at each other the way they are, and how it's ultimately never going to stop, because I don't think it is. They feel threatened by Wuthering Waves, because if it's labelled a Genshin killer, if it's labelled anything like that, it's technically a compliment. I've been saying this since day one, ever since I've been listening to what my friends have been saying. Just because you're the first does not mean you are the best. If you slip just the tiniest bit in what you're doing, it allows somebody else to overtake you, and that's exactly what's happening with Genshin. It's not Wuthering Waves that's killing Genshin, it's Genshin itself. And people are just tired of it. My friend was tired of it. I didn't even play it and I'm already tired of it. I'm tired of seeing these fans being treated like trash. Because the casual community that's passive and doesn't actually want to go after another community that just enjoys playing the game is getting screwed over. And honestly, if there are actually any casual Genshin fans out there watching this video right now still, please let your opinions be known in the comments. Because I am a Wuthering Waves creator, but I'm not going to go after all of you as a collective. There's only a certain few that are just part of this delusional echo chamber, and if you're one of them, please grow up. It doesn't need to be this way, because you're destroying the general perception of your game. People like me look at what you're doing and think, wow. At the end of the day, these are just my words. I don't think it'll change anything, but even if I can persuade a few people, then that's a job well done, I suppose. Honestly, this whole drama debacle is absolutely insane. I'm obviously on the side of Wuthering Waves. I have to be. I'm biased. Of course I am. That's just how it is. I mean, I'm not neutral. If you're thinking I'm neutral, that's not what I am. I love Wuthering Waves, really, like a lot. I'm really passionate about it, and to see some Genshin fans try and tear it down and nullify its achievements just because it's ultimately better than Genshin is just ridiculous. Because ultimately, in the gaming space, competition breeds great games, and this is what's happening. Genshin's slipping, and Wuthering Waves is learning on what not to do. I genuinely believe I've seen Kuro actually look at what Genshin is doing and do the opposite, as well as listening to their own fans. I know this is more of a ranty style video. I don't really want to get involved in the drama, but I also kind of do, because I think it's on every single one of us to especially point out what just happened, because it's not okay. Any game should not be doing this. If Wuthering Waves did it, I'd call it out. If Zenless Zone Zero did it, I'd call it out. If Star Rail did it, I'd call it out. It needs to be mentioned. There needs to be a lot of fuss about this to a point where the Genshin devs actually listen. Now, of course, I don't think Kuro would ever do something like this, because if they did, they know they'd get so much shit for it. But it's not healthy for the space when people do not call this crap out, or sort of indirectly call it out. It needs to be faced head on. But ultimately, we are all just passionate about our games. That's all we really are. And yes, of course, there may be tribalism, there may be echo chambers or whatever, but ultimately we just want our games to be the best version of themselves. And I'm doing that with Wuthering Waves, because I think the reason why I'm actually making this video for me personally is because not only am I passionate about Wuthering Waves, but it's also what Genshin fans deserve. Not the casual ones at least, but the ones that go after every single game but their own. They are breeding this sort of negative feedback loop that basically makes the game worse, because they're not putting that same effort and critique into their own game. They'll critique Wuthering Waves for this, that and the other, but when they look at their own game, they don't mention it to their devs. So they never get heard. So it's just a white knight sort of syndrome, where only glazing feedback is being heard, because all the negative ones are just getting flushed out. But guys, Wuthering Waves 2.0 is coming out very, very soon. I'm actually so excited. Oh my goodness, I'm excited. I'll be doing a Carlotta guide. I'm already starting to type that up now. I know what her weapon is, for example. Ooh. So, yeah. Thank you for listening to this little rant. If you have gotten to the end, please let me know your opinions in the comments. Don't hold back, because this is genuinely a safe space for all fans, I think. Although if you are just a dickhead, then just don't. Just don't bother. If you are triggered by this video, then maybe you're part of the problem. And that's probably the most triggering thing I'm going to say. Alright, see you all later.